Retrospectives right here on the Super Review Show Network. I am joined by my two incredible friends, Kyle and Mike. What's going on, guys?
Hey guys, feels like forever since we've been here.
Oh,
Oh, what?
yes.
Yeah,
Forever.
we're
Wow.
Relevant.
Let's bring out the puns already, right? For the forever tags, right? Here we go. No, but as the title of this episode suggests, alludes to, whatever. Today, this album came out on June 7th, but we were in the middle of doing our wheel spins back then. No, but this, as the title of this video suggests, we're talking today about Bon Jovi's Forever from this year, 2024, brand new album by the band Bon Jovi. It's his first album since 2020, October of that year, I believe, I think. Yeah, let's get right into it, shall we? I'll go first for tonight. So Bon Jovi, it's funny. He's been Bon Jovi's one of those bands that to me has proven themselves again and again that they can evolve over time with their sound. They started off in the 1980s as a hard rock, almost hair metal sounding band. And over the course of the late 80s into the 90s and 2000s, they evolved their sound to a more of a easy listening rock act over time. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the rest of their catalog, but they've a really, if you listen to them like from like 2000 and up, from like It's My Life and up, it really does show the progression of how they've gone from like a where their heyday when their most popular time period was in the 80s, how they've evolved over time to what they're today as well, I would call them as a easy listening rock act, which is I'm surprised to this day because you listen to Living on a Prayer on like adult contemporary stations nowadays. It's crazy. But even you love Bad Name. But but Bon Jovi said they put out a brand new album in 2024, and we're gonna review it here. So it's just and I'm a big fan of them. I've always enjoyed their music, no matter what. I mean, John is a very talented lyricist to begin with. He always tells stories in his music more than anything else. But no, this is a new album, and I gotta tell you guys right up front, I was very intrigued, for lack of a better word, by this album. This is a very this is I would say it's a step in a unique direction for Bon Jovi. I mean, it's very it is very adult contemporary-ish. It's very it's much more of the storyteller aspect in it. Um, but I'm just it's it's an album that is as an overall album, I think you can enjoy it maybe once or twice over. I know some people who are personally who are like have listened to this probably like 25 times over and like this is like a really just solid record for them. They really enjoyed it for what it was worth. And they had singles off it too at the time that whatever. But for me, I mean it's not bad, but it's not something that it's not something anything super special. It's not anything super duper. Would I go back to the whole album in a year from now? Maybe not. Would I go back to probably five or six of the hits, the singles, or just select tracks in general? Probably, yeah. Me personally. Let's get into it, shall we? So, all and we go to we check out the Wikipedia page every single time we do this, so just sit back and relax and listen. But all tracks are written and produced by John Bon Jovi and John Shanks, except for certain songs on the track listing. So, and I'll go into each one specifically in a second. But the track listing is as follows: Legendary, We Made It Look Easy, Living Proof, Waves, Seeds, Kiss the Bride, The People's House, Walls of Jericho, I Wrote You a Song, Living in Paradise, My First Guitar, and Hollow Man. 12 songs, 48 minutes, and 41 seconds. Um, Track listing for 1 out of 10 for me goes like this: Legendary, yeah, it's been on XM radio a lot lately here in the States. It's been on the Pulse. It's been played on the Bon Jovi radio channel a lot. This is actually a 7.5 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed the track. I like it a lot. It's definitely something that I would go back to, no doubt. It's definitely one of those tracks where I would definitely go back to it a lot more than I thought I would. And I don't want to reiterate myself too much here, but his voice, you can definitely tell it's changed since the 2018, 2019 tour and the 2022 tour that he did as well. And I'm sure Kyle and Mike will share their take on his voice as well too when we get to that. But We Made It Look Easy. This is about a four. Sorry, a 5 out of 10. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes the wrong way. 5 out of 10 for We Made It Look Easy. It's not bad, but the reason why it brought it down for me down to a 5 was because Ryan Tedder is one of the co-writers of this track. Ryan Tedder is an overrated, completely useless piece of crap writer in the music industry, and I do not like him whatsoever. In fact, I saw him live by accident. He came out randomly at a show that I was at, and I was very disappointed. I was actually the one booing him. I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. He is he just produces things and writes things and doesn't cut the way I'd like it to. So that's why we made it look easy for me. It's like a 5, and it would have gone up had he had not been there. Living Proof, great example of classic Bon Jovi track. This is an action 8 out of 10. It brought back the talk box, which is something they haven't had since Into My Life and Living on a Prayer way back when. So they brought back the talk box feature on that song. Um, for Living Proof. I like it a lot actually. It's very good. 8 out of 10 for that one. And it's only written by John Bon Jovi and John Shanks, who has been in the band now for some time. He's with a producer for the record too. Waves. I'm sitting at about a Waves track number 4. I'm sitting at probably about a what I have here. Like honestly, probably a 6. It's not super special. It's nothing too crazy. And the chorus, again, Bon Jovi's known for their choruses throughout their songs. So there's no doubt in my mind that a lot of these songs have very catchy choruses. But it's just very, very mid. Like I said, it's about a 6 out of 10. It's nothing super crazy. Seeds in a very similar boat here. Actually, I had this at a 4, about a 4.5, could go up to a 5, mainly because Tedder's back in the picture. And Michael Pollock is in the picture too. Not a fan of Michael Pollock whatsoever. He's one of the co-writers on this track. Michael Pollock has co-written so many really mediocre songs throughout his career. He actually, for those who don't know, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, Michael Pollock actually co-wrote a lot of songs. He started out his career as a Billy Joel fanboy. I don't know if you guys knew this. He actually performed with Joel at a college, and he's went on to become a quote unquote successful songwriter. He's co-written songs for Maroon 5, Lizzo, you name it, but he's not that great. He's kind of like the wannabe Ryan Tedder in the picture, and Ryan Tedder's not that good to begin with, in my opinion. So, but Tedder and Pollock both wrote the track. That's why I put it kind of low. To me, Bon Jovi is best when the band writes songs and no one else. Maybe Billy Falcon, maybe John Shanks enters the picture. That's about it. But to me, Ryan Tedder and Michael Pollock, stay away whatsoever. Kiss the Bride is actually 9 out of 10. I really love this track, and it shows, it really is another testament how this band has evolved over time to how they've come from a hard rock sound or 90s rock sound or adult contemporary sound to really writing just beautiful songs about how life can touch you in different ways. And I love this track. Billy Falcon and John Bon Jovi did a fantastic job with this. This is a 9 out of 10. I can actually see it at like people using it at weddings. Kid you not. It's that beautiful in my opinion. So that's Kiss the Bride is a 9 out of 10. The People's House, written by John Bon Jovi himself, like a 7. Nothing too crazy here, nothing too special. It's nothing specifically very entertaining, but it's there. It's a 7 out of 10. Walls of Jericho, I'm saying about probably a 6.5, maybe 7. And this is kind of where the album kind of like slowly goes down in quality a little bit for me. Tracks 8 through 12. Now, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying for me that you could hear the quality go down slowly over the next few songs. So Walls of Jericho is about as I said, what did I say? A 6. I lost my track. I'm losing my train of thought, guys. Sorry about that. A 5 out of 10 for this one. It's not bad, but it's not great. Again, and this is where we start to peter down a little bit. I wrote you a song as another 5, and it's not bad. It's cute. It's touchy, but it's nothing special. Living in Paradise it goes back up a little bit to a 6, mainly because when I first saw the songwriting credit, I didn't realize that Ed Sheeran was even on the record. But Ed Sheeran co-wrote this with John Bon Jovi. Apparently, they're buddies. Apparently, I don't know if you guys ever knew that, but JBJ and Ed Sheeran are Teddy's photos are buddies. Apparently, and they wrote this song. It's a 6 for me. It's nothing too, it's not bad, but it's not. It's towards the end of the it's towards the end of the album, and it starts to peter off from this point on. But it's because Ed Sheeran's involved, and I like Ed Sheeran's writing overall. I'm gonna give that a 6. My First Guitar and Hollow Man, we're just gonna bunch together at a solid like 5 out of 10 for both of them. Nothing too crazy or nothing too special. And I would actually say just to kind of close off here, this album is very front loaded with a lot of the songs, and then the second half just kind of like peters off quite a bit, and it's kind of pick and choose towards the end there. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a new Bon Jovi album. So if you're going, and I've said this a lot sometimes, but if you're going into a Bon Jovi album nowadays in the last 20 to 25 years, you're not going to get the 20 years. You're not going to get the hard rock Bon Jovi for the most part. You'll get probably like, more adult contemporary Bon Jovi. You might get more some hard guitar here and there. Like I know Beautiful Drug on 2020 was an example of that, but and Do What You Can was about like COVID at the time and stuff, but he wrote documented that stuff too. But overall, though, I'm gonna say that Bon Jovi's forever. Honestly, guys, I'm sitting about a 7 out of 10. It's nothing. It's kind of what I expected, but the hit singles kind of brought it up a little bit. But the rest of the other tracks are just not adding too much to it for me. About a 7 out of 10 for this one. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's definitely very. He's coming into his own, and I'm just gonna say this the way it is. His voice is done. I don't see how he could tour any further at all. To be honest with you guys, he's come a long way in his life, and his voice. If you guys watch that, I don't know if you guys saw the Hulu documentary or not. The Bon Jovi documentary, but apparently they were going into specific super detail about his voice over the past couple of years, and how it's really just been like not like breaking, but it's not doing what he could be doing because it's been hurting. Because he was on his 2022 tour, and there were so many nights where people just left early because it was just unbearable, and he was really hurting his vocal cords that way. So he did have surgery, I found out, and he is trying his best to recover. But I mean, if this is what he's going to put out in the 2020s, if not further down the line, then I'm fine with it. But I'm sure not everyone is. Like I said, it's a 7 out of 10 for me. It's nothing super special, but something super great. I'm sitting about a 7. Could go up to 7.5 on any given good day, but 7 out of 10 for me. I know Mike is a huge Bon Jovi fan. He's ready.
Yeah, well, so I've never been an album guy for Bon Jovi. I've always been the hits, and I don't think I've ever listened to a full album all the way through. That's unfortunate confession me. But I've always had a huge respect for just the overall catchiness and just they're good feeling songs from throughout his career. The ones you hear at every sporting event, the one you hear at every party. They hold that kind of weight where they don't need to necessarily dip into any of the other directions an artist might want to go in. Like sometimes artists will go in a very experimental route or redefine themselves or whatever. What, like you said, what you expect is what you get with Bon Jovi, especially like you were talking about him kind of struggling in the vocal department and not exactly um, hitting home runs like he used to in the past. I mean, I had talked to coworkers who had seen him live, and he doesn't hit the notes he does. He'll let the crowd sing during parts. He'll even do like acoustic songs of some of his most famous songs that you want to hear the actual version of, and you can just tell he's kind of avoiding that. So yeah, so I kind of like rated each element of this album to start off the review before I go into the songs, which is interesting. I don't usually do this, but vocals I gave it a 6. It's definitely like could be like a 5 in some elements, but I feel like he's staying in a range where he's is now, so I'm not going to fault him for that. He could, if he tried to push it during the album and it just sounded awful, then we'd be going lower. But he's going where he's able to go. And then the songwriting's and like, it's inconsistent. It can be up, it can be down, but I would say it's like a 7, 8, 8, and then production's a little spotty as well. So it's 7 out of 10 for that. But we'll go for the songs. Legendary, it's just like a 7 out of 10 right off the bat. You can hear his voice is kind of weird. It has like almost, it's just kind of like, you know, you can just tell he's got some weird stuff going on. He stays out of the high range, and but overall, I like the chorus of the song. It feels like that good. It gives you that kind of good feeling, but it's like you said, it's more the adult contemporary Bon Jovi than it is the rocking Bon Jovi we all want to hear. I enjoy songs like this. That they're more of like a guilty pleasure, I would say, more so than something I'm like listening to on an active. I just wish it had more colorful drumming. I wish it incorporated some more rocking riffs, but it's still a decent listen, and it's a good way to start the album off. So it was like a 7 out of 10. So then we get into We Made It Look Easy. This was just, yeah, it was a 5 out of 10. I agree with you here. Repetitive chorus, and overall, it just kind of continues in that stripped down um, musical atmosphere, and it just doesn't have the drums are timid. The it's pretty by the book song. There's no real nothing to real curveball or something to see here. So yeah, it's just pretty basic. And then we get to Living Proof. Now, this is what you want to hear, some rocking vibes to remind you of who Bon Jovi is. He's Bon Jovi, not meh Jovi or even Mal Jovi, because he can be very bad at times, and we're glad to hear like, hey, by the way, guys, don't forget I'm like a rocker and I have rock elements to my music. So yeah, it's got that really catchy song, and it almost actually at times sounded like I'm just dying in your arms tonight. I don't know if you guys like thought of that while you were listening to it, but I actually was singing that song alongside of it. I do this when I hear a song that kind of borrows elements of like another song, and it really does fit in this song, which is bizarre. But like he's bringing back some old elements, the talk box and some of the rocking feel. I wish this guy would do solos in this album, or the guitarist, whoever the guitar, it just this song needed some real cool solos to it, some rocking solos to like bring it up and knock it home, and the guitar just mimics the melody, and I'm just listening to it and actually driving, and I'm like, come on dude, that's it, you're just gonna mimic the same melody of the chorus? Like, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear a solo that reminds you of like the good old days, and and actually another song in this album has that guitar solo, which this one needed. So but 8 out of 10 for that. It's a solid song. Then we get Waves. This is just a kind of a country sounding kind of song. It actually kind of reminds me of Europe, this album we did a cover of, The Start from the Dark. The way he does his vocal inflections and the chorus kind of feels like one of a song from that album, but it's not the kind of Bon Jovi I'd like to hear with a country rock side of Bon Jovi, even though he's done country rock well, like Dead or Alive, which has that, it has the rock in it with the listen to the guitar solo, and that is exactly what you want to hear. But this one doesn't seem to have any elements of that so far. So 5 out of 10 for me. And then we go to Seeds. This actually kind of reminded me of U2, weirdly enough, vocally at the very beginning. But I kind of do like the mysterious, spacey vibe to this song. Once again, that drumming is just so basic and uninspired. The backing orchestral in this song also sounds very fake and buried. I actually did not like the fact that it was like a fakey kind of orchestral, excuse me, backing to this, and I'm a big guy on that kind of stuff. So when it doesn't have it, it can kind of turn me off. But we once again we needed that, and some kind of thing to pick this song up. But overall, I actually do like this song, which is like kind of a shocker to myself because I just enjoyed it. It kind of has like a November Rain-esque feeling to the end of it when it's like, just kind of soaring and repeating that melody. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's probably higher than I expected, because then when I first listened to it, it was like in that realm of like 6 or 6.5. But I just kind of, as I listened to it, I began to whistle the tune, and kind of got in my head. So and then we got Kiss the Bride. You know what? This is an 8.5 out of 10. I actually really enjoyed this. Like a throwback to the days of like that, a little bit of a wedding song. It's got a folk kind of, not folk, but I would say like that acoustic, kind of touching, song to it about, he actually wrote this for his daughter, for her wedding, actually, believe it or not. So I was looking into that, and I just like the melodies that are presented here. It has, his voice does lack consistency to really pull this off. This could have been a much higher song if he had the vocal prowess to be able to really drive this home. I would actually really enjoy someone else performing this song, and would like to hear another artist actually cover this. That would be a really cool thing. The strings were a nice touch here. It felt organic, unlike the previous strings from just the previous song, which is kind of weird. It's almost like they're like, yeah, this is like one of the songs we really want to try on, so let's bring in a real orchestral string, ensemble, or whatever they want to call it, sound a semblance. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10. That's actually one of the better songs on the album. It's actually might be my favorite song on the album, ironically enough. Then we get to the People's House. This is like it's got some groovy stuff on it, but which I think is a welcome change to this album staleness, which it's kind of a staleness in like rhythm. And it actually has that guitar solo I was just talking about, and the guitar tone that just kicks in. Like it's like, why all of a sudden do I feel like the guitar exists and then it disappears? It's the most bizarre thing. You'll listen to an entire song where it's got this real buried guitar that just has no tone or no like you can't hear the expressiveness of it, and you're just like, weird. It's okay song, like, and then you just hit this song, and then all of a sudden the guitar just kicks in, and you're just like, where did this just come from? Like, why wasn't this previous? Like, it's just very bizarre. And you can kind of tell that several people might have been, like working on this album and uh, brought in a different idea. So, overall, it's a fun song. It's got its elements that I like. It was a 6 out of 10 for me. Then we get the Walls of Jericho. This is definitely, like Bon Jovi once again. It's just like inconsistent vocally. It needed more of that. It felt a little cheesy with the na in it going on, and it's kind of a strange song with a lyrically strange change from the rest of the album. But I actually, it's just a fun song for me. I think Jovi, he's just attempting to hit those higher ranges at times to bring it home, but it just isn't able to do it. But a 7 out of 10 for me. I actually kind of grew on this song. I wrote you a song. Now I agree completely with you, JT. This album begins to sound like a campfire session at this point, where you're sitting around the freaking campfire talking about how you love your guitar, which is song 11, or living in paradise, or I wrote a song for you, all the way down to Hollow Man, which just feels like someone sitting around the campfire just telling you the tales of their life, or whatever. So I kind of came down the line here. I wrote a song for you, a 6. Living in Paradise was a 6. My first guitar is a 5. Hollow Man's a 6. It's pretty much, there's nothing real to see here. It's just lyrically cringe at times. For my first guitar, it was just weird. His voice sounds weird. And it just wasn't my cup of tea in this area, like you said, the beginning of the album, or more so the maybe even somewhat the middle and the beginning, and are kind of more front loaded than the back. So yeah, but so for me overall, it was a 6.5 out of 10. Where I award a half a point at the end of the review to a positive or negative, I decided to just it was a push, because I was gonna say it could have gone a half a point higher because of some of the tunes were enjoyable, but as a production, as a lack of a guitar tone that really uh draws you in and reminds you, hey, I'm Bon Jovi and I have more of a rock spirit. I don't think he does. I don't think he has more of a rock spirit. I think he's really calmed down to a point where he's happy with being the guy sitting around a campfire, twanging, talking about his life and this, that, and the other thing, as well as, vocally, he's not able to be the rocker. So why assume a position when it's dangerous to assume that position? Once you assume a position like, hey, I'm a rocker, people start going, okay, rock then. And then you're like, oh, crap, I can't really rock because my voice is shot. And I'm like, I've just pigeonholed myself into like having to like perform for the next album. It's like, nah, I'd rather just do like real wound down contemporary songs that are in my range and in my interest at this point, which I am completely okay. It's not okay to pretend to be something and not be able to deliver. If you're gonna deliver something, deliver it in the range that's expected. Don't try to like aim for the stars and then end up shooting, you know, nowhere near it. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10 for me.
All righty, then it comes down to the K Man. What do you
Hey
got
man's gonna
for
be
it?
the villain.
I can
Yeah,
just
you guys are gonna
smell it.
make me do it. I didn't expect this, but yeah, you guys are definitely making me do this. This is a I'm not giving him any passes for being a legacy act. As much respect for John Bon Jovi as I have and his past work and his past hits, this is not it. This album is not it. This is an uninspired, honestly poorly produced, monotonous album to go through. The songwriting's not there. His vocals aren't there. Uh, I said it, I think at JT, I forget what video it was in. Correct me if you remember. One of our tier lists, I think.
Yes.
I think I had said that he should retire at this point. I think he should. At least from live shows. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I'll start with the track list here. Legendary. I was a bit hopeful on this track. This one went up to a 6 for me, and that's hopeful for this album. This is car commercial music. Let's not kid ourselves. Everything about this sounds like mid to late 2000s car commercial music. It's on the repetitive side for sure. It's a nice sentiment. The lyrics are nice. I won't fault him for the lyrics on this one, but we'll get to that later. Uh, it's way too basic. It's drawn out, and nothing interesting happens in here. There's no interesting transitions or movements throughout the song. It's just, here's what it is. Here's 4 minutes of this. Great. We get it, Bon Jovi. You're legendary. We already know this. It's fine. Then you go to We Made It Look Easy. And here's where things just really took a downturn for me. Immediately, we're at a 4. This is another one that sounds like car commercial music, but in an even worse way. So in my notes, I had put this, but I had changed my mind as we got further down. I put this might be the least enthralling Bon Jovi chorus we've ever had. That changes later on in the album. But yes, this album really suffers from a lack of catchy choruses, if I'm going to be totally honest, especially from what you come to expect from John Bon Jovi. This has a very mind-numbing drum beat, which also factors into almost every other track on this album. Very lackluster drumming. Guitar work, too, pretty lackluster, but without Richie Sambora, I don't expect much from that aspect. Sometimes when you have a songwriting team and they break up, it doesn't go that well. Living Proof, it's a 5. The talk box being brought back, it's a cool addition, but it's a cool throwback, but it feels almost too tongue-in-cheek as a callback of like, hey, look, I can still do this, but no, you can't. No, you can't. You can't do it anymore. And it's fine. It tries to be this callback to those earlier rock days, but without any of the edge or attitude to it. And like Mike said, and I completely agree with you, Mike, if he wants to be that guy that's just gonna sit around the campfire with his acoustic guitar and sing about his life, he's earned it. More power to him, he's earned it. But I think with the documentary that just came out and with the way he tries to portray his image still of being this like edgy rock guy, it just doesn't really work. So going into it expecting something different and getting this, it just feels uninspired. Uh, and no, they don't have anything to prove anymore. But I don't need a phoned in album either. If you want to be a legacy band or act, just be that. And then we get to 2 songs that kind of lump together in Waves and Seeds. Both are 3s for me. I really did not like these ones at all. Waves sounds nothing like a Bon Jovi song. Uh, it's unfortunate. I just didn't see any substance or worth to this song being here. I thought it was lacking in every aspect, even the songwriting in general. Not even a guitar solo on this one was able to save it. Seeds, just super boring, terrible chorus. It tries to be like epic towards the end with really just no payoff on it. Uh, and then I'm going to disagree with both of you here. Kiss the Bride. This is a 5. And I'll completely give it to Mike again with if there was a better vocalist on this track, it could have been a better song. But where it falls apart for me, and this is a step in the right direction at this point in the record, but it's trying so hard to be like that father-daughter, mother-son dance song at a wedding. So hard that it just misses the mark for me. It comes off corny in the wrong ways. It's a sweet concept. If the story behind it, he wrote it for his kid, like great. That's great. It's a great thing for you to do for your kid. It just comes off as like very try hard, very corny. And again, the vocals just don't sell it for me. And that goes for almost every song on the album too. And then we go to The People's House. Oh my God. This was awful. This is one of the worst things I've heard. This is a 2. And I knew from the minute I saw the title of this track on the track list, I knew it was going to be a bad song. And I knew it was going to be a love your brother. It's the people's house. It's our country. It's all about love, man. And I was goddamn right. This lyrically is horrendous. We are, quote, we are building this house of love, and this is the people's house. Like, oh, come on, man. I know Bon Jovi has never been one to shy away from cringy and corny lyrics, but there's a way to do it that's fun and like interesting. And then there's this where it's like, okay, we get it. Politics bad and all love your neighbor. I hate that crap. Musically, it doesn't do anything. It's like the closest to a hard rock song you'll get on this record, and it still manages to be one of the worst things here. Nothing interesting on this. Uh, No interest in hearing this one again, to be honest. But we do pick it up quite a bit to Walls of Jericho, which was a 6. Could have been higher if it was if it was his old vocals or if it was a different vocalist. But we finally have a fun song here. We finally have a fun song made for an arena sing along. Chorus is great, probably the best of the album. Where it falls apart here, though, is the verses just feel like a vehicle to get to that chorus, which with a chorus like that, okay, fine, I get it. It's nothing amazing, nothing groundbreaking, fun arena sing-along song. And then we get to my favorite song of the album, the only one that I would actually come back to in I Wrote You a Song. Uh, Not even close that this is my favorite here. It's the only one I'd actually go back to. It's very sweet and well-written love song. This is one of the few songs on here where I can actually point to the songwriting and be like, I actually like the structure of the song. I like the melodies. I like the chord progression. I think it all actually works together. I think it would be elevated even more with his old vocals on it. I understand he had the vocal problems and he can't do that anymore. It's fine. But this one's a 7. I would actually go back to this one. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Then we get to Living in Paradise, and we're back down on the record. This is a 5. It's just a by the book song. Again, it's kind of fun arena song almost. Nothing special. Wouldn't go back to it, wouldn't seek it out. And then we get to the worst thing that this man has ever put out in his career. And I'll stand by that. In My First Guitar. This is bad. Let's not pretend this is a good song, please. Uh, Legacy act aside, all the respect for him, I could not find a single redeeming quality on this track. This was one of the worst choruses. This is the worst Bon Jovi chorus I've ever heard. He sounds like a mumbling, terrible mess on this track. The instrumental is awful. The lyrics are awful. The melodies are clunky. It has awful jarring transitions. And the guitar solo here, one of the few on the album, just sounds so uninspired and unoriginal. This was awful. We also
Kyle,
get
was it the
what?
Def Leppard song about my guitar? Remember that album we
Oh,
did? It
I
was like
sure remember. And that was my next point, Mike, is that we need bands, specifically these legacy acts, stop writing about your first instrument. Stop talking about how much you love your guitar or love your drums. It's terrible. It never comes off good. It always makes for one of the worst songs of your career. If anyone can show me a well-written one other than While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles, other than that track, show me anyone that's done it well. I challenge anyone to that. Uh, but yeah, this one was terrible. I cannot understand how he made this into a nearly 5-minute track. And then we go to an uptick on Hollow Man, but only upticking to a 5 because Hollow Man ends a very hollow album with just a by the books emotional closer that doesn't do anything really interesting, and it just ends up at a 5 for me. So, all right. In summary, here we're at a 4 out of 10 for this whole album. Uh, as much as I wanted to like it, because that Hulu documentary that he has out right now is great. It's a fantastic documentary. I've really liked his past work. All his hits are great. Even his later career hits have been really good. knowing what happened to his voice over the past few years, I was skeptical going into this album. I think rightfully so. It doesn't hit like I want it to. This album feels more like a mediocre to poor Bryan Adams album than it does a Bon Jovi album. And this is coming from someone that likes Bryan Adams. It's not great. So we're sitting at a 4 out of 10 here. It's one note, it's bland, it doesn't do anything interesting. It feels like every musician on here, other than John Bon Jovi, is a side note, doesn't get any time to shine at all, does the most basic drum beats, the most background style guitars imaginable, except for like what, 2 or 3 solos here and there. Uh, big disappointment for me. 4 out of 10.
Well, you heard it here first. Yeah. So those are our ratings. Anything else, guys? You guys are good, right?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, like it. Oh, I mean, it's just like it really does. It's frustrating to listen to an album that actually has you know, a better skeleton of ideas and direction, but then, like you said, the vocals, the guitar, the drums, all these things that fill in that skeleton with the flesh and make it, animate are unable to pull it off. And like I do appreciate, we're heading towards the AI generation of where you can just like develop things and make it happen by using some computer, whatever. So I do wonder, obviously we'll all be dust, I'm sure, by the time it really takes off to the level that we imagine. But like I can only imagine like we'll all be gone and like someone's like, you know, those guys that I've watched this video of from far in the past, I'm gonna do them justice by like making all these albums they've like, listened to better by using AI. And just like everything that we wanted to hear is there, but we're gone and we can't listen to it.
You'd
So like
you'd be
you know,
surprised, man. There's one YouTube channel that's been putting out Green Day songs, but like it'll be say an American Idiot song, and they'll put out a version of it in the style of Dookie using AI to change the voice, and they've been doing it for every album, and
yeah.
it's nuts. It's so accurate.
Yeah.
So these things are here.
So leave notes to your kids and say, hey, like I want you to take up this challenge and use your technology of the future to fix the past. And hey, you never know, things that we're griping about might actually be corrected and better in the future. So yeah, stay tuned for that, folks.
Put late 80s John Bon Jovi's voice onto this album and see what happens.
Yeah, that would be a killer.
So I went out there and do it. We want to thank you all for watching, listening. If you enjoyed us, you want to spin the wheel for a sec?
Oh, yep. Let me make sure I got it pulled up.
So we
Yep, I got it.
Spin me
we can do
right.
that really quick.
No, we're gonna get
Take your time.
copyrighted.
Take your
Sorry.
time. Yeah, Mike, don't do that yet. Yeah, we're spinning because so we have three. Is it three more? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
three. So our next week's album will be wow.
uh
Electric Light Orchestra's Zoom.
There you go. Damn, son.
Damn, son. So that was Mike's pick. It is Electric Light Orchestra's Zoom. I'm not sure what year it came out, but
2001.
2001. Oh boy, ELO from
I
2001.
thought you were doing the Disturbed all. I don't know. Like
Exactly. That was totally me. No, but yeah, so that's our next album. Is we spun the wheel. Now it's gonna be ELO's Zoom album from 2001. We want to thank you for watching this and however you enjoy us tonight. Ultimately, guys, very mixed response to the album, but I'm glad that these two gentlemen broke it down for me, and we did it as always. Kyle, Q&A podcast is still kicking along, right?
Yep, still going strong.
Perfect. Please tune into his podcast as well. He does a great job over there, with him and his friend. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys.